it's Tessa with your weekly wellness check-in as part of our Bulldog Online Jumpstart Challenge. Today, I am super excited to talk to you all about sugar. Whether it's the holidays in the winter or happy hour sips in the summer, every season is filled with lots of sugar. And let's be honest, sugar is hard to pass up. I know from my own experience that's very true. It's also important to know that when you're stressed or you have periods of prolonged stress, sugar cravings can kick in. While we can't always say no to sugar all the time, we can choose to step away from the sprinkles from time to time, and our body needs it. So let's talk about a sugar detox. My fellow Bulldog leader, Brittany, is really interested in this topic, so let's phone her in and get into it.
Hi, Britt. Thanks for joining.
Hi, Tessa. Hi, Bulldog Squad.
Britt, so I know you've been asking me about sugar in your and your family's diet, so I wanted to loop you in on our wellness topic today.
Yes, I have been really curious about sugar for myself, and as a fairly new mom with an almost 1-year-old little boy, also really curious about sugar in his life and my family's life. As he's starting to expand his palate and his plate a little bit, I just want to make sure I'm getting him on track, myself back on track food-wise.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So let's first start with some stats. I know numbers are boring, but they don't lie. The amount of sugar that the average American consumes is rapidly rising each year, according to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. So dietary suggestions are that you would take in no more than 12 teaspoons of sugar a day, but Americans average over twice that.
Holy sugar cookie. Why do we have so much sugar in our diets?
I know, it's crazy. So what happened decades ago is the food industry tried to be more creative, how we can make more food to feed more people and to allow it to be more shelf stable for longer. But what ended up happening was we added sugar and corn syrup to cereals, fruit drinks, sports drinks, yogurts, granola, and condiments like ketchup has sugar in it. It usually has corn syrup in it. So not only are we eating our sugar in ways that we are traditionally enjoying, like having a baked dessert or a cookie, but now it's present in almost every meal we eat, whether we know it or not.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So what should we all look for on labels when it comes to sugar?
So according to the University of California in San Francisco, they did a study. There's more than 60 names of sugar on labels, on food labels now. So it can be really confusing. So to further confuse things, when you look at a nutrition label, it also doesn't separate natural sugars that might be occurring to added sugars. So for example, if you were to look at applesauce for Cam, you could have a natural applesauce that would just have natural sugar in it, like 3 or 5 grams that you would normally get from an apple with all the good fiber. But then some brands actually add more sugar to it. So you can't tell what's naturally occurring and what's added.
Too much sugar is never a good thing, right? But I don't totally know the effects of too much sugar on my health, on my son's health, on our family's health.
So to identify added sugars, look at the ingredient list on the food labels. Some major clues that an ingredient has an added sugar is if it has the word syrup, so that could be corn syrup or rice syrup. Words ending in the letters OSE, anything that ends in OS, like fructose, sucrose, maltose, dextrose isn't a lot. And sugar could be in the name. So raw sugar, cane sugar, brown sugar, and confectionery sugar as well.
Okay, got it. So this is all really beneficial. It's so interesting to learn this, especially for, my son's health, our family's health. I mean, I already know that too much sugar is never a good thing, but what does it actually do to our health?
I know a lot of people are unaware of this. A diet heavy in sugar can increase obesity, heart disease, diabetes, cancer, depression is one that's in there that's often overlooked, acne, and also accelerated aging.
Yikes. So would you say detoxing all sugar is necessary, like as soon as possible?
So the important thing to do is look at your diet, your family's diet, because everybody is unique. So what you want to do is hide added sugar as much as you can. And look for those ingredients in your diet and in the food that you're eating, because there might be you might be consuming sugar without even knowing it. So it's not easy to cut sugar, but I promise you it's worth it. So the higher amount of sugar you take in, the stronger the symptoms might be if you take sugar out of your diet. They literally call it a detox. And I'm going to tell you why they call it a detox. They have actually done scientific studies where mice consume cocaine and sugar. And most times the mice will go for the sugar when they're offered both. And they will go back to it time and time again. It is 5 times more addictive than cocaine. So if you choose to cut sugar out of your diet and you do have a sweet tooth that you know you already are working with, you're gonna have detox symptoms. So the first 72 hours can be rough. You can have really strong cravings for the sweets or carbs. You might just be going to the pantry constantly. You could have headaches, you could be irritable, you could cry. You can have depression and maybe changes in sleep pattern or feel tired. But I promise you, after those first 3 days, it will start to get easier. Those symptoms will subside a bit, but be prepared to pick an appropriate time. I'm not thinking anybody should do this before, a holiday period, right? Because you're gonna be tempted.
Yeah, I mean, it's so overwhelming. I mean, how would you even suggest starting a sugar detox?
One of the things I ask people to start with is look at your drinks. This is something that's changed in the last few decades where we're actually consuming a lot of sugar in what we're drinking at this point, which didn't occur in the 70s. So sweetened drinks, I mean, when you're getting your coffees and you're getting that extra dollop of whipped cream, I mean, that's delicious, but that's a dessert. Lemonades, I tell my kids if it's like a Tuesday and we're out and they have a lemonade, I'm like, that's your dessert then. Like, you have to start training your mind that some of these drinks have as much or more sugar than a baked good. So sweetened drinks, soda, if you're still drinking soda, fruit juices, and energy drinks for a really high level of sugar. And that's the first thing you can look to cut out. So the next thing to think about is sugary cereal or the obvious frosted donut, right? Like, that's pretty obvious. But cereals, even if you don't think they're sugary, like Frosted Flakes, you're thinking, yeah, there's gonna be sugar in there. The frosting is not a natural thing. But there's sugar in cereals that you actually think are healthy. So that's why it's important to look at the food label. Another thing to think about is granola and protein bars. The granola is really popular. I love a good acai bowl, protein bars, especially when I'm heading to yoga and I haven't eaten yet, I throw in a protein bar. There's options for really good products that don't have a lot of added sugar in it. Some of them have dates and things in it that are natural sugar, but watch the granola. The sweeter the granola, the more sugar is in it. And then the other thing I want people to look in is their condiments. They're a very, very sneaky source of sugar. Things like salad dressings, especially if there's a food label that says low in fat, they're taking fat out, but they're adding something else in to make it taste really good. So hidden sources of sugar I want you to look for are salad dressings, barbecue sauce, oatmeal packets, and spaghetti sauce or marinara. You should look for the sugar in that as well. And then you could look to the obvious. Your ice cream, your desserts, right? Candy, baked goods, that's gonna have a lot. And if you're buying them at the grocery store and they're shelf stable for days, that's gonna have a lot of artificial ingredients and a lot of good sugar to keep it there. And then you also wanna look at artificial sweeteners. So sometimes people wanna cut the regular sugar, like those raw sugar packets, and they're like, I'm just using, a Sweet and Low or a stevia. That's okay long term, but when you're actually trying to cut sugar from your diet, that confuses your brain. It's still gonna look for that sweet response and it's gonna start to react the same way. So it could derail what you're working on doing. And then if you're really looking to cut the sugar and kind of have a fresh start, I would say don't necessarily cut fruit out because it has fiber and natural sugar, but you might want to avoid the higher sugar fruits like oranges, mangoes, pineapples, and cherries, just for that first amount of time that you want to kind of come off of the sugar train.
Wow. Okay. Sometimes it feels like you can't eat anything, right? For myself, if for kids especially, but even for me, like, do you have any ideas or suggestions for what to replace some of our favorite sweets?
So yes, I have some solutions for you. They're probably not going to be as exciting as a glazed donut or a lollipop, but there are things that can get you over the first few days of like the cravings. So I would say drink a lot of water, maybe sparkling water add some mint or lemon and lime to make it a little bit more exciting. And you want to fuel your body with nutrient-dense foods. So you're going to look for proteins, fiber-rich foods. Fresh berries are a really good option as well. Personally, when I have a sweet tooth, I put blueberries or I put grapes in the freezer and I eat them as a snack, because then it's like a little bit of a fake ice cream, but it tricks my brain into having something sweet. So the other thing is you want to have some really good snacks on hand to go for. So nuts and seeds, whole fruit, like I said before, nut butters are a really good option, olives, almond flour crackers, hummus, veggies, and hard-boiled eggs are a really good option. So if you are craving fruit, like I said, you're gonna cut out some of the higher sugar fruits, but there's some really good options that might surprise you. So low sugar fruits are strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, watermelon. Like I just automatically assumed they would be on the high scale. They're actually not, they're really good choices. Lemons and limes to flavor your water, and kiwi and grapefruit are really good options.
Wow. This is like, this is all like giving me the post-holiday kick in the pants I need. I feel like this is so interesting, so educational. Like I had no idea how much sugar was in all these items, and those suggestions to replace are such great ideas. It's going to be a challenge, but I'm gonna try it.
Believe me, I know, I get the sugar cravings too. And like I said before, when we're consuming sugar, we literally become addicted to it. So you might not have a sweet tooth, but if you're consuming sugar, whether you know it or it's in hidden sources, you're gonna reach for it whether you want to or not. And also when you're stressed, your body is looking for sugar because that's actually what helps source your muscles to give you energy to react to whatever stressful event is. So it's not just that we really like candy, it's that our body thinks we need it, and then it becomes this cycle that is really difficult to break.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane, but I get it. I mean, I feel it. Like I can tell in my own body, sugar feels addicting for me. You know, I feel like I crave it. I don't even realize it. You know, I just want it every week. It is wild. Oh my gosh, this is so much to digest, but it's so important and it's been so helpful. Thank you so much, Tessa, today for all this info. You're so knowledgeable, and it's just been so helpful to learn the why and most importantly, how to sugar detox. Thanks so much.
Well, you are most welcome, and I reassure you that you are not alone, and anybody who is watching these videos is not alone. We're all walking through that, and we all, kind of pique our interest when we see a good bag of M&Ms. So you are not walking through this journey by yourself.
See you soon. Thanks so much.
Hi everyone again. So remember, once you make the decision to sugar detox and switch to more nutrient-dense foods, keep in mind a few extra tips to help you through the first few days. First of all, be realistic. If you enjoy all things sugar, soda, candy, sweets, you might need to make it a more gradual reduction so it's a lasting change. Some folks can cut sugar altogether, but you can decide what's right for you. Eat foods high in protein and stay hydrated. Also, increase your fiber and avoid artificial sweeteners. Manage your stress, exercise, and you try and get the 7 hours of sleep each night. The first few days you will have cravings, but if you can make it through those first 72 hours, you are on your way to cutting back the sugar and living in a healthier body. I hope this was all very helpful and informative for you, and we'll see you next time.